Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This video will be about year 2024. How the year will look like for us from mundane perspective. What to expect, what will happen to the world in 2024 from the perspective of the ancient Babylonian astrology. Now, I will make a summary of what this video will include. First, I will look at the most important two dates, which is the beginning of the astronomical, the lunar new year from both perspectives, Sumerian and Babylonian, because the beginning of every cycle is showing how the whole cycle will look like. Secondly, we look at very important celestial phenomenon considered to be most important when we make analysis of horoscopes, be it from personal or mundane levels. We look at the heliacal cycles of the planets. Heliacal means appearances and disappearances of the planets in relation to the sun, because every appearance of a planet is like the birth of the planet, and this energy is always resulting in events for us. Thirdly, I will look at what is called solar cycle 25. This is very important. Here I will not go into deep detail because I did it already. In November I made video especially on the solar cycles, their 11 years cyclical timing, and how this solar cycle will impact year 2024. Then, of course, we look at eclipses, very important, and the lunar nodes, their movement, because the lunar nodes always take with themselves the eclipses. And then we look, of course, at ingresses, like the planets, their transits and their major aspects. Also, they are very significant for the year 2024. Now, let's look at what we are supposed to start with, and this is in year 2024, the astronomical year, actually the lunar year 2024, is starting according to the Sumerians, the way they used to look at this, with we would see the appearance of the moon, the first appearance of the moon after the first appearance of the moon before the sun enters the point of the vernal equinox. Vernal for the northern hemisphere, winter for the southern hemisphere. So, and this, when I made this calendar, when I put this chart, I noticed that this date is 12th of March according to the Sumerian tradition, and the first appearance of the moon is taking place not as traditionally and as we expect to happen, but it takes place in Aries, and this is deviation from the tradition. Every deviation from the tradition is an omen. This is maybe simply to describe what actually omen means. This is deviation from the tradition. Then I used the rule which the ancient Babylonians, the Babylonians are the culture which actually took over Sumer, so they're the culture after the Sumerians. So how did they do this? They would look at the moon, the first appearance of the moon, after, not before, but after the sun enters the point of the vernal equinox. And again, deviation from the traditional expected situation. On 9th of April, the moon appears in the 3rd degrees of Aries. Now, and in the very same moment, the invisible Mars will be exalted in Capricorn. It means the ruler of the moon is also highly dignified, exalted in Capricorn at the moment of this situation. This is important because, like I mentioned in the beginning of every cycle is showing how the whole cycle will look like. Aries situation, because as you know, Right now, we are in the mini era, in a cycle. We, the humanity, are in a cycle which is also ruled by Mars, because this is the cycle of Aries, which will last for many years ahead. Now, Mars is ruling us. Mars is emphasized. We have emphasis on Mars, and we have emphasis on Mars, which is very important, because this is pointing towards martial events. Powerful Mars, like nothing will stop him, because Mars is ruling the cycle, but he is also ruling the year, with this emphasis of the moon on Mars. And we have to watch Mars to see whether there will be peace or there will be lack of peace, and what will happen on Earth in this sense. So to me, this shows that the year will not be very calm. We will have warlike situations like previously. Also, in addition, I will remind to you that on 7th of May, Mars appears for first time in Pisces. And this is the 12th sign of the zodiac related to well, it is the house which is very much related to first of all, this is the Pisces is health, Pisces is refugees, Pisces is the house of the bad karma, because Pisces is, of course, like every house in the zodiac, very karmic, but Pisces is about this is the house of poverty. This is the house of limitations. This is when we're really paying the bad karma. And Mars appears for the first time there. Now, the good thing is that Jupiter is ruling Pisces, and Jupiter, with his calm, philosophical, benevolent energy, can be somehow in control of Mars through wisdom, through benevolent response, if you want. So Mars can provoke two things. One will be like the new spiritual interests in people, like because Mars is also our drive, like new wave of spiritual awakening, if you want. But this can also mean malefic events, like for some lack of peace. Pisces is related to Christianity. This can also mean direct attack on Christian values and Christianity. Mars is also, this can show increase in the rate of poverty. But I will be more specific in a moment when we look at this period of time with the first visibility of Mars. And in the meantime, I will start with the not looking at the year month per month, but I will look like cycles and seasons. So let's start with the first part of the year. And here comes a very interesting event. Almost in the beginning of the year 2024, I think January or February, nobody is sure yet. Most probably end of January, beginning of February, we have increase of the solar activity, which results in production of more solar flares, solar spots. Usually they can be like, let me tell you what I researched. The number of spots can be like 11. I don't know per what period, but they will be registered from January up until September or October, to go from 137 to 167 solar spots. And here we have again deviation from the traditional situation, because it was expected when we follow the cycle, which is after every 11 years, this cycle is repeating. When we follow the cycle, we see that this particular increase of the solar activity, production of solar spots, was supposed to happen in the year 2025. but it is happening earlier. And again, look at my video with a little bit better detail. I'm explaining these things. So in 2024, with the increase of the solar spots, we will notice increase in the number of, like, intensify. These solar spots will intensify the events on Earth, which is what usually, historically, and I made historical overview in my previous video, we have major lack of peace. I don't want to say war because I don't want to program the environment for this, but social unrests, change of the social system. And historically also, when there is a change of the social system of the world, usually there are wars. So wars. And this is related to the increased number of the solar spots always. Of course, there is also good side of this, which is increased fertility, and many new souls are descending on the planet because this is matter of balance. So many new souls will be descending, and fertility in general, in the nature, in the human reproductions. So this is believed to be also the case. Also, in the first week of February, there is always another event which is somehow bringing balance. This is invisible Saturn sextile in Jupiter, sextile in Venus and Mars. This is benevolent in terms of finances somehow. And also I can tell you that when there is increase of the solar activity, the price of the gold can continue to rise for sure. Then, very important event on 8th of February, Saturn becomes invisible. And remember, Saturn is during the whole year 2024 in sidereal Aquarius, and he will be in Aquarius until late December 2025. So on 8th of February, Saturn is becoming invisible. He descends in the netherworld, the god Ninurta, Kronos, Lord of Time, Saturn. When he becomes invisible, he takes with himself what he represents. Old tradition, elderly people, unfortunately, old rulers. So you will see changes in this direction. And then here comes the very interesting stuff. On, what was the date? On 12th of April, Saturn becomes visible for the first time in very specific degrees, 21st degree Aquarius, which is sacred degree. He becomes visible in the place which he rules, which is Aquarius, because according to the ancient tradition, he rules Aquarius. And in a sacred degrees, what are these degrees representing? These are the degrees where the waterman is pouring the water. Water is what? Information, knowledge, memory, abundance. Water is source of life. Saturn becomes visible in these degrees where the waterman is pouring the water. These degrees are called also hermetic because they contain amazing amount of knowledge. Hermetic, ancient, benevolent, useful for humanity. Saturn will bring to us this. Also another wave of awakening. So Saturn will bring, let's say, good news, but he becomes visible in Aquarius. Further changes leading to the era of Aquarius, because we are at the gate of Aquarius. This is also what he will be bringing. Saturn becomes visible with a lot of, like, he will be carrying a big baggage of new things, knowledge, but also changes which lead us to the era of Aquarius. And later on, I will explain to you a little bit more about this. On also specific date, but this will be in the summer period, and I'll tell you about this summer period in a second. Then on On 17th of March, very interesting, Mars invisible, Venus invisible, Saturn invisible are meeting in Aquarius. 3 invisible planets are meeting in Aquarius. When the planets are invisible, they have assembly with the Sun because they are in a very close proximity with the Sun. It's like assembly, deciding. In the spring, many important things will be decided, like for humanity, for our future, all in Aquarius, all at the gate of Aquarius, the new era, the new financial system, and so forth. And this is happening right after the first, right before the first eclipse, 24th, 25th of March is the first lunar eclipse, which happens on the axis of Pisces Virgo. And later on, after this assembly of Mars, Venus, and Saturn, we have the second total eclipse, total solar eclipse in Pisces on 8th of April. Now, to open a bracket, because I promised to talk about eclipses. Again, in the year 2024, we have 5 eclipses. It is believed that when you have such big number of eclipses, the year will be very, very strong, interesting, very intense, very, very intense. And this will lead to many mundane events with high intensity. Now, all eclipses, all 5 of them, lunar and solar, take place on the axis of Pisces and Virgo. This is because the lunar nodes on, I think, 3rd of the first week of October of 2023 entered retrogradely the axis of Pisces and Virgo. So the head of the dragon, Rahu, is in Pisces and the tail of the dragon, Ketu, is in Virgo. And they always take with themselves the eclipses, and the eclipses becomes portal for change. And not only that, Mars will emphasize on the Pisces, which is the Pisces is, you know, our collective karma. Pisces is also the human empathy. We will see in this time who is real human, who is not. This is the collective also. And the collective energy, the collective consciousness. Also, the lunar nodes will be emphasizing on these two important signs. This is the drive to spirituality, and it will also, you see, Virgo being the natural house, 6th house of the zodiac, is somehow related to enemies, to health. All this will be emphasized because of the eclipses very, very much. And later on, you see, we start with the eclipses on 24, 25 of March. Later on, we have the disappearance of Saturn. Later on, 7th of May, we have appearance of Mars again in Pisces to bring these very interesting new times. And then another very important event is also that this is happening, of course, around the beginning of the new astronomical year. So especially from the spring on, like March, April, the year will be very interesting, very, very intense. Followed by this, as I mentioned to you, solar cycles, conjunctions in Aquarius. It's all about Aquarius, Aquarius, Aquarius. On 31st of March, Venus becomes invisible in Pisces to become visible on 6th of July in the 29 degrees of Gemini. So she becomes invisible in Pisces. This is again Pisces. She becomes invisible. She from visible, she is descending into the netherworld to be transformed into the energy of the Babylonian Ereshkigal or the Greek Persephone. Amazing energy of great wisdom, of great protection, of great sensitivity, if you want. But, and I want to also to say to people, 31st March to 6th of July, during the invisibility of Venus, I just want to mention this in brackets because it's always very important. This is not great timing for new businesses, also not for marriages. Many ancient cultures like the Indians, they know that. Now, so she becomes invisible again in the sign of Pisces, where Mars later on becomes visible, where the lunar node Rahu is. So a lot is happening in Pisces. And Venus is exalted in Pisces, so from very powerful, also there she is descending into the netherworld. I see this as very philosophical development. Like something old will go, she will take away with herself something related to, she's ruling the second house of Taurus, money, food, supplies. Like saying this again, large bracket to open, talking about the Venus and Taurus. On, where was the date? On 4th of May, Jupiter is entering Taurus, but he will be invisible. And Taurus, 4th of May, and he appears for the first time again on the 13th of June, also in Taurus. So we will be having from 4th of May Jupiter for 1 year in Taurus. He will bring benevolent energy in Taurus. Taurus is the second house of the zodiac. It is finances, like he is softening the energy there, because later on 18th of June, Uranus is entering Taurus, and this becomes major. Like Jupiter is entering to create a softer environment. And when Uranus enters Taurus, we will experience major changes on Earth. And let me remind you, in April of 2017, Uranus entered Aries, and he stayed there 7 years until 18 June 2024. Do you remember what were the major changes he made? You put from your personal perspective, from your personal horoscopes, you know the sign, the house which he entered in your horoscope, he transformed, especially powerfully in the beginning of his transit. So he enters Taurus. What is Taurus? Food supply. Taurus is art, it is beauty, it is money. From the beginning of his entrance, luckily Jupiter will be there to soften a little bit the energy. Uranus will bring changes in what I just listed, and we will see this almost automatically happening. Somehow the food will be changed to something that we may not even like. Modern, could be that it's not very natural, could be that this has impact also on very much on financial system. And this is happening then. Before that, 18th of April until end of April, Jupiter and Uranus are forming conjunction in the 27 degrees of Aries, like the last 3 degrees of Aries. This conjunction is major. It is happening in Aries. But I truly believed that the soft benevolent energy of Jupiter is able to soften the energy of Aquarius. So when they two met, when they two will meet on, remember, from 18th of April until end of April, this will be benevolent for us, because it will be like, let me tell you, Uranus is represented by God Anu on the sky. This is the highest. Like when we go look at the celestial spheres and when we follow the number of the planets, God Anu is very high. One of the creators of the human genome. Jupiter is Marduk also, and they are family, by the way. They are family. Jupiter is Marduk. They are not enemies. No, they are not enemies. They are friends and family. And then when they're together, this will be very significant and maybe, not maybe, I believe quite benevolent for from financial perspectives, especially if you're doing modern way of investment, which could be cryptos and name it. I'm not financial specialist, but financially this will be benevolent for people who do modern way of financial investment. Also, this will be very beautiful in terms of knowledge, information, philosophies, very, very interesting and very abundant. And later on, they meet again in 2024. They will be sharing the same sign, and we will be experiencing this energy all the time of Jupiter and Uranus conjoined in the sign of Taurus. But I told you which direction the change they will impose on us will take. Impose, okay, maybe not, but will bring, which will be the main changes that we will be experiencing. I don't really, I'm not very sure if we will like this type of, you see, the energy of Uranus in the every beginning of his cycle is very drastic, like sudden. We feel it. When Saturn is entering a sign, it takes a while until we experience his energy, his presence, the changes that he's supposed to create for us. But when Uranus enters, and count this as of 18th of June for 7 years, be sure we will feel him immediately. And in my 12 videos for each one of the astrological signs, I'm also mentioning about his influence on the personal horoscope. So on mundane level, he will have significant impact on the financial system, which will be imposed because in the meantime, he will be squared by Saturn. So from the moment of Uranus entering Taurus, he will be squared by Saturn in Aquarius. We can have many, many ways of analyzing this. If you look at the Greek mythology, father and a son, they didn't love each other. One castrated the other. Saturn, Kronos castrated Uranus. They cannot love each other. Uranus doesn't love Saturn. They will be in a square. And this square will be a square between the new and the old, the conservative, the traditional. Like there will be a strong battle between the new, which is entering the world, and the old, the traditional, the conservative values of people. Also, you will see the system falling apart, the system as you know it, in 2024. And remember, in the meantime, when Uranus will be squaring Saturn, we will have increased activity of the sun. Also this, we will still be under the influence of Mars appearing in Pisces. So it will be major on very giant level. This will have impact on the collective. Financial system will change, and there will be battle between the old and the new. And this will not be happening peacefully. Like I told you, historically, this is not astrology. Historically, every change of social system is happening through wars on Earth. Doesn't matter that these are created wars. It is just happening this way. So so this is then on this one, another event, from August 19 to December 4th, Jupiter is squared to Saturn. This will be again another level of financial changes, but this time not benevolent. The markets then will not be this is literally in astrology, Jupiter squared by Saturn is not about gain, it's about loss. This aspect, literally, this is what it means. I mentioned to you about the first appearance of Venus. Also, from June to December, Uranus will sextile Neptune. On mundane level, This is major for spirituality in a very beautiful way. Then from mid-June to mid-November, Uranus is sextiling Pluto. Well, this Pluto, you know, as a ruler of the 8th house, is about depth, is about large transformations. So you see, all this is pointing towards big transformations which are happening to us, to the people, to the world. You will notice how the year 2024 is very intense. Believe me, 2024-5 will not be as interesting as 2024 will be. Also, on 30th of August, Saturn, I'm talking already about the summer, Saturn will be in the so-called acronical rise phase, which is again about the heliacal cycle of Saturn, and he's benevolent then, but strong, like very much about justice, and in the meantime squared by Uranus. So in this moment you will see how the traditional values, how the old can take over. But then mid-September, Saturn is in a cosmic setting. Again, this is a little bit more malefic energy of Saturn, like he will show his angry face. So September is not very easy also. And then in September, this is happening just a couple of days before the eclipse in September. We have the lunar eclipse, which is happening on 17th, 18th of September. Then another important event is the shortly after that we have the other two eclipses. 2nd of October, the solar, and 17th of October, the lunar. 5 eclipses. I will remind to you, in year 2020, when we had all these world situations, the pandemic, we had 6. When I saw that we will be having 6 eclipses, I knew the year will be very, very intense, very, very interesting. So we have 5 in the year 2024. It will be very, very interesting year indeed. So just to summarize for you, solar activity starting already early beginning of the year, January, February. The appearance of the moon in Aries, martial activities are promised already from March, because then the moon appears in Aries. Then already in March we have the first eclipse, which is on the axis of Pisces and Virgo. And in February, Saturn becomes invisible. His conjunction with the Sun is on 29th of February in very spiritual degree, like their assembly, their meeting, their discussion is about our awakening, our spirituality, and all of that. And then on I mentioned this to you, the appearance of Mars is happening also in Pisces. The appearance of Saturn is happening in sacred degrees of Aquarius. You see how the energies shift mainly from Aries, Pisces, Aquarius. These are the 3 signs which are seriously emphasized in the year 2024. And the Aries energy is clear to you. I don't need to mention. It is about eventual disharmonies, warlike situations, health situations. Aquarius is about our awakening, spirituality, abundance of beautiful knowledge. Pisces is the collective, the impact on the collective, the karma that we have to pay. And I strongly believe, I have no doubt, that what above, so below. What is the things are already written on the sky. Whether we can change it, this is something that I'm not saying for the first time. We can. How? remaining very, very strong, not absolutely giving up to any fears and worries, remaining very decent, not absolutely violating by no means moral norms. Absolutely not. Because you see, it is about the karma, pain of the karma. Now we're like tested. We're sitting the final exam. Really very important time when we will be tested. How do we react on such situations? Do we fall in the trap of fears, anxieties, worries? No, we simply need to increase our faith in ourselves and in the Creator. And remember, I have to repeat this. I know it will be maybe for fifth time, but I will tell you again this story of the wise man. When in one village or in one city, you have only one decent person out of 10,000 inhabitants, citizens. If this person is praying, he is able to save the whole other population, the whole other people in the city. So we can be this one person. I have to remind you this. I know it is not for the first time, but sometimes we need to hear certain important stories over and over again. So nothing to worry about. Absolutely not. Year will be interesting, but our spirituality, our faith, all this will be tested. Our morals will be tested. And we will not fail because we are very powerful human beings. So I want to stop here. I wish you all the best. Your comments are very, very welcome. Bye-bye.